Hip-hop star Kendrick Lamar, who grew up in Compton, has a hit song that's in major rotation at sports arenas around the country. Lamar's song, Not Like Us, is the walk-up tune used by Dodgers second baseman Gavin Lux when he steps into the batter's box. Not Like Us was played at TD Garden in Boston during the first 2 games of the NBA Finals. The song is also getting played at WNBA games in Las Vegas, Seattle, Minneapolis, and Chicago. The Dodgers hit 5 home runs last night, 4 in the 6th inning to pound the Texas Rangers. The Angels lost to Arizona. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
When I move my body, I feel like freedom. Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
And they wondered if a black talk radio station would work in Southern California.
Y'all did it!
Well, KBLA Talk 1580 toasts its 3rd anniversary on Juneteenth, and you're invited to celebrate with us.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, y'all the bomb.
All you have to do is go to KBLA1580.com right now and sign up. Admission is free, but mandatory, and space is limited. Once we reach capacity, we'll have to cut off the online registration, but it's open right now.
Oh my God!
So don't delay.
Thank you guys for being the best at what you do.
Log on to KBLATalk1580.com right now and register to join us for an afternoon of good music, good people, and good vibes.
Happy anniversary.
Wednesday, June 19th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will provide the food and drink, but be sure to bring your low-back chairs, blankets, and your personal picnic baskets.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Let's celebrate 3 years of being the most trusted, credible, and reliable source of news and information.
We love you, KBLA.
We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're black and stride again.
Black and stride again.
Happy anniversary.
1, 2, 3, go. I'm gonna try to keep it coming. Things ain't always smooth, but I'll be alright as long as I can find the good. Yes, I will. Yeah. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back and style again.
Live from the historic Lemery Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, 2 conversations. Up first, historian Eric Majette Jr. takes us inside his traveling museum of 10,000 pieces of black history called the African American Cultural Heritage Collection. On the B side of our 2, in advance of our historic symposium, our Climate Justice Symposium, next Tuesday, June 18th, live on C-SPAN in prime time. We will speak with Rawa Gerbazan of the Just Solutions Collective about the Shut the Fossils Up Climate Care Campaign. Love that name, Shut the Fossils Up Climate Care Campaign. We'll do that with Rawa on the B side of hour 2. In our third hour, 2 more conversations. Up first, Tony Award-winning director Kenny Leon on his latest Broadway production, the revival of Sam Art Williams' play Home, which I saw just last weekend in New York. And on the B side of hour 3, Tony Award-winning actress Amber Iman on her latest Tony nomination for her role in the Broadway musical Limpica. I suspect we'll also talk to Amber about her advocacy for black women on stage. So 2 Tony winners today in our third and final hour. We will commence today's show talking politics and more with our regular contributor, noted civil rights attorney and towering public intellectual Connie Rice when we come forward. But first, this news comes today that Laker great Jerry West has passed away at the age of 86. We were talking about the Lakers just yesterday and how Dan Hurley of UConn will not be the new coach of the Lakers. So the Lakers were on the docket yesterday. Here comes news today. Sad news that Jerry West, the Laker great, has passed away at the age of 86. I call Jerry West the logo because that's exactly what he was. His silhouette is the silhouette you see every time you look at the NBA brand logo. The guy dribbling, that's Jerry West. Talk about a legend. You're such a legend, you become the logo for the NBA, which is kind of funny because those who have followed Jerry West's career and all the pundits over the years and sportscasters have pretty much noted that Jerry West was actually a better passer than he was a dribbler. And yet, because he was so iconic, Jerry West is the brand logo of the NBA. I like Jerry West a lot. I had the honor of getting to know him and spending some good time with Jerry West, and I thought he was as good and decent a man as he was a player. He was a pretty good executive. For all you Laker fans, if there is no Jerry West, then Kobe Bryant is not an NBA Laker legend. It was Jerry West who drafted young Kobe Bean Bryant, and the rest, as they say, is history. So no Jerry West as Laker executive. There is no Kobe Bryant as a Laker legend. For all you Laker fans, again, can you imagine? Kobe would have been great wherever he was, but he would not have been a Laker great had Jerry West not made the decision to draft this young kid out of high school named Kobe Bean Bryant. I spent some good time, as I said, with Jerry West over the years. Funny story, one night we were having dinner. Jerry West liked Mastros, and we were at the Mastros in Beverly Hills on this particular evening. And we're seated having dinner, and I out of my left eye, in my periphery, I see somebody approaching the table. I turn around, and the person approaching the table happens to be the artist Drake. At that time, I'd never interviewed Drake, had not met Drake. Of course, Drake was already Drake, but we had not met. So Drake spotted me at the table and very nicely, very kindly walked over, introduced himself. I got up, sort of shook that Drake even knew who I was. So I stood up and gave the brother a hug, and Drake and I talked for a quick second, and I introduced him to the folks I was having dinner with, including one Jerry West. I've laughed about this many times because as soon as Drake left the table, Jerry West said to me, "Who is that?" Jerry West had no idea who Drake was, and it was clear to me when I introduced Drake to Jerry West, Drake had no idea, basketball fan though he is, who Jerry West was. So here are these 2 legends, and neither one knows who the other is. Jerry West did not know Drake. Drake did not know Jerry West. And there I was in the middle of these 2 greats with the honor of introducing them to each other. It was quite a night. Some years later, one of the executives at that table that night was a dear friend of both Jerry West and mine named Dana Davis. And so God rest his soul. Dana Davis was a black executive for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he and Jerry West were friends as well. It was Dana, as I recall, who arranged that dinner that night for all of us to get together. And some years later, Jerry West and I traveled together to Memphis to eulogize Dana Davis. And so Jerry West and I had the honor together of eulogizing our friend Dana Davis, this great Memphis Grizzlies executive. And everybody in the NBA who's ever worked there knows the late, great Dana Davis. And so it was quite a flight there and back talking to Jerry West on the plane about his life and his legacy and that of our friend Dana Davis. So some good time with Jerry West just flying across the country, and just amazing to watch how people reacted to Jerry West when they saw him in public. I had the honor of interviewing Jerry West when his book came out, West by West, My Charmed and Tormented Life. And his life was extremely charmed, but also tormented. He's a kid from the hills of West Virginia. And so when you come from West Virginia, somebody once said, can anything good come out of West Virginia? Well, I know 2 things that came out of West Virginia, actually 3 things. Skip Gates of Harvard, the brilliant professor, hails from West Virginia. Jerry West came out of West Virginia and did quite well by himself. And another great out of West Virginia is the late, great Bill Withers. And because this is the month of June, every day we choose a particular artist to celebrate, and we play the best of their music all 3 hours of this program. So today, our artist in residence, in honor of Jerry West and all the good folk from West Virginia, we will celebrate the music all day today of Bill Withers. But Jerry West, dead at the age of 86. As I said, he was as good and decent a man as he was a player, and that's what we should all strive to be, remembered for our good name. And today we recall and remember the good name of Jerry West, dead at the age of 86.
I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have faith, you need to borrow.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Listen up here. Have you not been feeling yourself lately? Have your weight loss dreams turned into weight loss nightmares? Have you been chasing those same 20 pounds for 20 years? Well, it's time to try D-Herbs. D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse is a natural cleansing regimen that can help you lose 20 pounds in just 20 days. The Full Body Cleanse will also boost your immune system and improve your digestion. With summer not just around the corner, as the copy says here, summer is here. And now's the time to stop chasing those 20 pounds and propel yourself into a healthier lifestyle. So how about rebooting your system and start losing weight today by going to dherbs.com and order your Full Body Cleanse, or call 866-434-3727. If you mention Tavis, you'll get a discount at checkout. dherbs.com. Experience healing.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Fight climate change. This Earth Day, April 22nd, go Metro and ride for free. You'll make a difference. Metro buses run on clean energy, making every day Earth Day. Together, we can clear the air and connect our communities. Start your journey at metro.net.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Grandma's hand clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hand played a tambourine so well. Grandma's hand used to issue out a warning. She'd say, Billy, don't you run so fast. Might fall on a piece of glass. Might be snakes there in that grass. Grandma's hand. Grandma's hand soothe the local unwed mother. Grandma's hand used to ache sometimes and swell. Grandma's hand used to lift her face and tell her, she'd say, baby, Grandma, understand that you really love that man. Put yourself in Jesus' hands, Grandma's hands.
It is the music of the late, great Bill Withers. We celebrate the music of Bill Withers, the pride of West Virginia, all day today on our program. June is Black Music Month, and as you know, every day this month we have a different artist in residence whose music we play as we weave in and out of these brilliant conversations with these amazing guests. We'll get to one of those in just a moment. Connie Rice, our guest in the first hour, talking politics and more. And so we will play the best of Bill Withers all day today. In case you've just tuned in, and it is appropriate to play Bill Withers out of West Virginia because his fellow West Virginian, Jerry West, Laker great, major executive who drafted Kobe Bryant as an executive for the Lakers. Just an amazing guy. Jerry West is dead. The logo of the NBA is dead at the age of 86. News came yesterday that another great American made his transition, the Reverend James M. Lawson Jr. That news came actually Monday. Today's now Wednesday, yes. I was in D.C. on Monday. So Monday I broke the story on our program that James M. Lawson Jr. had passed away. And Connie Rice knew Reverend Lawson. Of course, I knew Reverend Lawson, interviewed him many times. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, on this program in our first hour, a full hour tribute to James M. Lawson Jr. We're going to pull some clips of some of the many conversations I've had with Reverend Lawson over the years. And so the first hour tomorrow, a tribute to the Reverend James M. Lawson Jr. The obits are everywhere. The tributes are pouring in. I've seen this story about his life and legacy all over the place, from the New York Times to The Guardian, to international papers. I've been reading what others have had to say about James M. Lawson Jr. Tomorrow we'll have our say again in our first hour. This great American who was a confidant of Dr. King, one of the greatest teachers and practitioners of nonviolence that I've ever known, traveled to India to study and learn about Gandhi. He's the one that helped found SNCC and taught these young people about civil disobedience and civil unrest. And so we will get Connie's thoughts in a moment about the Reverend James M. Lawson Jr. After I play just a little bit of sound, let's just weave in his voice into this conversation before Connie offers her own tribute to Reverend Lawson, and we will jump from there. Here now the sound, some of the sounds of Reverend James M. Lawson Jr.
There can be no nation of peace if there is not a nation of justice. True. There is no future in human history except the future of justice, of peace, of health, of beauty, of wonder, for every boy, for every girl, all over our Los Angeles area, everywhere in our country, and all across the earth. That's what the God of love, the God of Gandhi, the God of King, that's what that God wants for each of us, all of us. Amen.
Connie Rice, we got to stop meeting this way. It seems that every other time you're on this program, you and I are talking about another great American, oftentimes a great black American who has passed away. And I think about the fact that you and I have been pretty honored in our lifetime to know some of these people. I'm thinking now about the hour we spent not too long ago eulogizing, offering tribute to our friend Harry Belafonte. And today it's James M. Lawson Jr. I stand down now and pass the mic to you. Your thoughts about this iconic peacemaker, James M. Lawson Jr.
Yeah, we're losing the Titans, aren't we, Tavis? I tell you, your listeners may not know who he was, but they need to understand that whatever their lot in life, it would have been worse had James M. Lawson not come to the aid of Martin Luther King Jr. when they were leading the civil rights revolution that didn't just establish black liberation and end apartheid in this country, but that revolution that's ongoing and that we're fighting to save the remnants of right now, that revolution was the second founding of this country. When you think about Martin Luther King Jr., Thurgood Marshall, Medgar Evers, Diane Nash, Malcolm X, Mandela, Tutu, James Lawson is in that pantheon because without him, he was the most profound justice warrior who wielded weapons of radical love, ruthless truth, a dignity that was divine, and with killer strategy and jiu-jitsu tactics. So, he was a warrior in Jesus Christ's mode. And he lived it at a profound level that I don't think was matched by any of the other titans that you and I would recognize. So without him, the nonviolent, direct action, civil disobedience, disruption strategies would not have worked, because you had to be trained. You had to be trained to sit at the Woolworths counter and have milk poured over your head. You had to be trained not to hit back when Bull Connor sicked those dogs on you. And those young African Americans who were 15 and 14 and led the way so that you would have the march across the Pettus Bridge. They, every single African American who wasn't a Titan, the everyday folks who were the soldiers in the Army, they followed James Lawson's training. And it takes radical discipline to be able to sit there when you have people spitting on you, hitting you with batons, sicking dogs on you, threatening your life with guns, throwing you in jail. You're talking about people who put their lives on the line so that we could be freer. And what he leaves us, Tavis, is a baton. My grandmother always said, justice it's not a fast race. It's a relay, a long-term marathon relay. Yeah. And you got to take that baton and run like the wind. Well, he's handed us that baton. And the war that he was fighting goes on. We're still fighting the last battles of the Civil War. And the very last time I saw him, he said, this is the second retraction of Reconstruction. Mm. We're in a second big retraction, and we have to fight it. So his spirit isn't gone. His war, his battle isn't gone. His call to march on is ours to realize, and that means this November doing what we have to do.
Yeah. As always, Connie has set the frame for the entire hour with her very first response. She knows how to turn a phrase. And while we, again, tomorrow in our first hour, we'll spend it in tribute to Reverend James M. Lawson Jr., Connie has now set the frame for this hour with what she has said about the work and witness of James Lawson. So let me start a serious interrogation of those issues in just a moment here. Let me just say quickly, though, as you know, I was in Washington on Monday, went to a thing at the White House Monday night, and I watched President Biden take the stage and offer his remarks at this Juneteenth celebration. And I thought about how President Biden and every president before him has missed the opportunity to give James M. Lawson Jr. the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He certainly was deserving of it, not that others who received it were not. But an opportunity was missed to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom during his lifetime. Perhaps he will receive it posthumously from President Biden or someone else in the future. And James Lawson didn't do what he did for awards or honors or accolades. We know that, or affirmation for that matter. But I just thought about that Monday. The news came that he had passed on Sunday night. I announced it on Monday. I'm at the White House Monday night looking at Biden and thinking of all the presidents who missed the opportunity to so honor him with the highest award this country can give, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Again, perhaps that will happen for him posthumously. Let me jump in now, Connie, with a few things that you've said. Let me come to this baton first, because as I recall, you and I were once in conversation with Mr. B, Harry Belafonte, about this. He said this more than once to you and more than once to me, that his assessment of that baton analogy was to wrestle with this question of whether or not his generation, the generation of James M. Lawson Jr., had given us a bad handoff. That is to say, did they give us a bad handoff, or did we drop that baton? Because there's clearly a disconnect here. But what's your take on that frame that Mr. B raised, again, more than once, of whether or not his generation, gave us a bad handoff, or whether we just dropped the baton?
I think it's more than we didn't pick up. Mm-hmm. Because I can't imagine. Think of for some folks who are listening, their great-grandparents. For me, my great-grandparents and grandparents. That those generations had. I mean, Tavis, what they faced was 100 times worse than what we faced. Probably 1,000 times worse, because all you and I had to do was walk through the doors they opened, mm-hmm. if you really want to be honest about it. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, I never faced a lynch mob. My grandmother told me she didn't want to hear me complaining about anything until I had to sit in the dark in Birmingham, Alabama, with the lights out and a long gun over my knee waiting for the Klan. She said, until you've had to do that, you have nothing to complain about. Now get out there and fight. So, they had to really battle life and death every day. Every minute of every day you lived under the tyranny of racial terror that was state-sponsored. Mississippi was a state. It wasn't just a sponsor of terrorism. It was a state of terrorism, a racial terrorism. And you could say that about Alabama, Louisiana, all through the Deep South. So you think about what those folks had to do from the Great Migration north to battling the Klan to just surviving every day. They ended apartheid. They ended illegal segregation, put their lives on the line, marched, died, fought World War II, came back, refused to take second-class status after liberating Europe. And they couldn't have done it without the black soldiers and without the Tuskegee Airmen. Couldn't have won World War II. So they led a much more difficult charge. Think about what Mandela had to face. So our folks, our ancestors, James Lawson, Martin Luther King Jr., Medgar Evers, the people who died, put their lives on the line, and all of the thousands of folks who followed, Fred Shuttlesworth and all of the great reverends of the black churches who were the vanguard in that revolution. They did their job. I don't know how much more we could have asked of them. They died. They ended apartheid. And what did we do? We spent our time, doing image awards. We turned to narcissism about climbing career ladders. We had those choices, and I'm not begrudging the success. I'm not begrudging, I'm so proud that I can't even name all the black actors now. Used to be able to name them on one hand, right? Can't even name it. All of the musical stars, African-American artists who transformed the musical tapestry of this country and are now in the business. They were kept out of the business and out of the problem. I don't begrudge any of that. That's all the fruits of the labors of the James Lawsons and our ancestors. I'm not saying people shouldn't have made those choices, but not enough of us stayed in the trenches. Not enough of us took that baton and ran that next leg of the justice relay, because we weren't done, and we got comfortable, and we underestimated the viciousness of the white lash this time, the regressive retraction of every African-American advance in this country's history has always been accompanied with a huge retraction. And when President Barack Obama stepped through, I always had this image of him closing the door of Gore, the slave camp. The slave door, the door of no return, and going through that that archway to take his oath of office as the president. Those two doors, when that door closed and Barack Obama opened that door to the presidency, that was a milestone that I don't think my father or your father or any of our great ancestors thought they would ever see. But when we did that, we thought that too many of us thought, okay, we've arrived. I had a knot in my stomach because I said the reaction to this is going to be titanic.
I recall that moment well. Speaking of Mr. B, I was with him a day or two after the inauguration, the election of Barack Obama, rather. And Mr. B, I've said many times on this program, told me the same thing. He had muted. He was muted in his jubilance, in part because he knew that a backlash was coming. And I sat there at his house in New York and listened to him tell me what was about to happen. And I'll be doggone if everything Mr. B told me didn't happen, because he had lived long enough to know that every time you take black folk take one step forward, there's going to be a retrenchment. When we come forward, I'm going to give Connie the time to unpack a few things she's already said. As I mentioned moments ago, she set the frame for this entire hour. I want her to unpack more what she thinks James Lawson meant by this second retraction of Reconstruction. It's a powerful frame. The second retraction of Reconstruction. Want to get her take on peace as a construct in the world we live today. And that notion of ruthless truth. What is the condition of truth these days? I believe the condition of truth is to allow the suffering to speak. But who's telling the real hard truths these days? Well, we got a lot more to cover with Connie Rice when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A deadly and dangerous heat dome over the west is moving toward the eastern seaboard. Florida has tropical rainstorms with gusty winds, lightning, and flooding. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo testified on Capitol Hill Tuesday regarding how he handled the coronavirus pandemic. The Democrat released a written opening statement ahead of the closed-door interview with the GOP House Committee. Waffle House is increasing pay for its U.S. workers following complaints from labor advocates. Now, management says the cost of those waffles, smothered and covered hash browns, are going up. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Need money for the holidays? Avoid the yikes before Christmas. Hurry into Jackson Hewitt for a holiday loan on your tax refund, up to $1,000. Early refund advance offered to eligible clients. Application required. Finance charge applies. Loans by Republic Bank. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA Finals resumes tonight in Dallas for Game 3. The Boston Celtics have a 2-0 lead. A significant injury concern for the Celtics. Backup center Kristaps Porzingis has a tendon issue in his left leg. Porzingis is listed as questionable. Tip-off time tonight is 5:30 on ABC Channel 7. Hip-hop star Kendrick Lamar, who grew up in Compton, has a hit song that's in major rotation at sports arenas around the country. Lamar's song, Not Like Us, is the walk-up tune used by Dodgers second baseman Gavin Lux when he steps into the batter's box. Not Like Us was played at TD Garden in Boston during the first 2 games of the NBA Finals. The song is also getting played at WNBA games in Las Vegas, Seattle, Minneapolis, and Chicago. The Dodgers hit 5 home runs last night, 4 in the 6th inning to pound the Texas Rangers. The Angels lost to Arizona. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like your style, though.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer over 50 different custom window treatments, including faux wood blinds and shutters, all at prices less than retail. Plus, we'll send you free samples before you buy. Don't hire an expensive pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
Family Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data, and you get to choose who joins your family plan starting as low as $25 a line.
Does it have to be family?
It can be family or people you like.
Get more lines and more savings. Switch to Straight Talk for family plan starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
In a room with soft satin pillows, crackling fireplace keeps us warm. Whispering wind through weeping willows, and sweet one of me resting in my arms. In a soft light, her eyes are gleaming. Pretty little hand covers up her mouth when she yawns. Wake me up, I must be dreaming that the sweet one of me rested in my arms.
I'm Tavis Smiley. That's the smooth sound of Bill Withers, who we celebrate. We celebrate Bill Withers in this hour and all 3 hours of our program today because June is Black Music Month. You know how we do it around here, a different artist every day whose music we play throughout all 3 hours of our program. And so we are pleased today to be celebrating the artistic genius of one Bill Withers, the pride of West Virginia. In case you have just tuned in and not heard, Laker great Jerry West has passed away at the age of 86. He also hails from West Virginia, so it seemed like an easy pivot today to feature the music of these of Bill Withers and celebrate his fellow West Virginian Jerry West, who has also made his transition. So a lot of good people who've come from the hills of West Virginia. We continue our conversation now in this hour with our esteemed colleague and regular contributor, the towering public intellectual Connie Rice, brilliant civil rights lawyer who I'm, again, always delighted to be in conversation with. Connie, let me frame this way and frame it this way and then get out of your way. You were talking earlier about your last conversation with the Reverend James M. Lawson, who passed away on Monday, civil rights icon, and his sharing with you his thoughts that we are in now, what he called the second retraction of Reconstruction, the second retraction of Reconstruction. I was just reading last night an ugly story about something called Project 2025. It's also known as the Presidential Transition Project, and it is a collection of conservative policy proposals from the Heritage Foundation to reshape the federal government and beyond in the event that Donald Trump wins this 2024 presidential election. When you read the story, when you read the plans of this Project 2025, I invite you to Google it and read about it yourself. But when you read the things that they intend to do with the full support of the president, if Donald Trump, in fact, is reelected, it is scary, and it brings to mind this frame that you have us in of the second retraction of Reconstruction. That said, I stand down. Take it, Connie.
Listen, it was really eye-opening because it was along the lines of what I had been thinking. The first Reconstruction, of course, was only 12 years in Africa. Former slaves made enormous progress in terms of taking electoral office and getting into legislature, and it all got rolled back. The rise of the Klan and the terror of the South. That was the first retraction of black advancement. But we've gone now beyond the normal retraction of black advancement, 2 steps forward, 5 back, that dynamic. This time they want to roll back democracy itself, because the looming threat of multiracial democracy, of white Americans no longer being the majority population, we're on the cusp of that. Mm-hmm. And it sent folks into a panic, and the signal of that panic was the election of Barack Obama, when the regressive white voters, who were 51% of the voters, 51% of white voters voted for Trump, and the MAGA movement, which is a regressive movement, not just to roll back black advancement. Black advancement is just one symptom of moving toward a multiracial democracy, something they don't want, because they, in their minds, it's if people of color and women advance, it means that the primacy and the control and the dominion of white men diminishes. So they feel like they're losing. And they've just decided democracy ain't working for us anymore. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to shut down the whole thing. We're going to take back civil service. We're going to fight the rule of law. We're going to attack juries. We're going to attack facts. We're going to attack anything and everything that people we don't want to have power. We're going to take it all back. And so the difference is, when Martin Luther King Jr. and James Lawson and you and I talk about getting power electorally, we're trying to get power to include more people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Martin Luther King Jr. and James Lawson, and the person carrying on their legacy most directly is Reverend Barber. He's doing the poor people's revolution, saying that poor whites and poor blacks, which is what Martin Luther King Jr. said, the grand alliance had to be poor whites and poor blacks who are not in anybody's plans for the future. They need to come together and demand a humane capitalism that puts the needs and the dignity of human beings first before rapacious, pirate-level capitalist profits. And you can have capitalism, but you got to put people first. So that whole school of thought, Martin Luther King, James Lawson, Malcolm X, you name it, it was a vision that was inclusive, expansive. We want, even if you disagree with folks' lifestyles, you want everybody to be free. You want everybody to have an equal chance. You want everybody to have due process and the rule of law and the guarantees and the Bill of Rights. You want to enlarge participation. They want power to exclude anybody who isn't like them. They want power for white Christian nationalism. They want to exclude all the other religions, including Judaism and Islam and Buddhism and every other religion you can think of. They want a white Christian nationalist, misogynist, barefoot and pregnant, women go back, take back everybody's rights and go to autocracy. They're celebrating Putin, the butcher of Ukraine. And so when you have a global autocratic movement, our political situation is mirroring that, the same global dynamics that have created such stark inequality that people are reaching for something that is not democracy. Yeah. They want something fast, they want something secure, they want something mano duro, they want enforcement of their dominion, their dominance.
When Connie mentioned moments ago the rule of law, my mind went to the news of yesterday that Hunter Biden, the president's son, had been found guilty on these gun charges, and that's the least of his concerns. The gun charges, there was a chance, thought that he might beat that. He is not going to beat this tax evasion. So maybe the time now is to consider some sort of plea bargain on the tax evasion. So the next hurdle is going to be higher than the hurdle that he thought he could clear yesterday, which he did not. That said, Connie mentions the rule of law, and I thought about this yesterday. Can you imagine that Hunter Biden had, in fact, been found not guilty yesterday? Can you imagine the frame, to use Connie's word, that would put us in today? That Donald Trump was found guilty and the president's son was found not guilty. I wasn't on the jury, didn't file the case every day, but I'm telling you, the frame that we'd be in right now would be a lot more dark, and it's already dark enough, be a lot more dark now than it was yesterday if Trump had been found guilty and the president's son had been found not guilty. In that sense, maybe Hunter Biden is taking one for the team. I know this is not welcome news to the Biden family yesterday, but just think about that for a second. If Trump had been found guilty and Hunter Biden not guilty, what we'd be talking about today and how they'd be going off right about now and what that might even do for the election that Connie referenced in November. I digress on that point. When we come forward, we'll talk to Connie about two other things she mentioned in this hour. I told you she's brilliant, and she set the frame for the entire hour. I want to talk about radical love. I want to talk about ruthless truth. I want to talk about peace or the absence thereof in a war-torn world. We'll do that with Connie Rice when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking.
That's what we do around here.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Pardon the interruption. It's me, Tavis Smiley, here to remind you that we are now just days away from our historic Climate Justice Symposium live on C-SPAN this coming Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center. We are now pushing capacity. So if you plan to join us, stop procrastinating and get to KBLA1580.com right now and register. Attendance is free, but registration is mandatory. Black folk are flying into LA from all across the country to be in the room when we go live to the world with a stage full of black brilliance on the eve of Juneteenth. And you live here, you better get to KBLA1580.com right now and claim your seat.
Become a U.S. citizen with the help of the Los Angeles Public Library. Get free and confidential information on immigration and citizenship. Visit lapl.org/NAI to find your nearest library or call us at 213-228-7390. That's lapl.org/NAI or 213-228-7390 and start your path to becoming a U.S. citizen with the help of the Los Angeles Public Library. Call 213-228-7390 or visit lapl.org/NAI.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of Tavis Smiley and Connie Rice coming your way right now. I need hours to unpack the things that Connie and I are going to talk about the next few minutes, literally. So my time is getting tight, but let me hasten to what I want to hear Connie expound on. Namely, these three issues that she raised earlier in this conversation. Speaking of the Reverend James M. Lawson Jr., who passed away on Monday. Peace, radical love, and ruthless truth. Let me start with the latter, this notion of ruthless truth. I love that phrase and that frame. What is your sense, Connie, quickly, of the condition of truth these days? I said earlier that my view has always been the condition of truth is to allow the suffering to speak. If nobody speaks the truth, then the suffering ultimately gets rendered invisible. But I'm not sure in our body politic, in the frame that we are in today, people actually care about an objective truth.
We've had the death of facts and the death of truth. That's the biggest change, is that we can't even agree on what's real. We have different realities right now. I said to some European folks, I said, listen, over half of our white brothers and sisters are having a psychotic break. So you're just going to have to help them get through it. They're having delusions. It's a psychosis because they're now in a cult. They can't tell fact from nothing else. They're talking about alternative facts and all kinds of other, and they indulge delusions like you wouldn't believe. I said we're just going to have to help them get through and hope they come out the other side. But because right now truth has died, and that's part of why Biden and company can't break through, why we can't break through. I mean, my progressive friends, I love them all, but they keep talking about we just have to tell better stories. No, they know our stories. They don't want our story. They've decided they want to go on without us, and then they're planning camps, and they're going to end civil service, and they're going to end the democracy. So let's understand the frame we're in, please. So truth, ruthless truth, is what Reverend Lawson meant by that was to yourself understand the horrible reality and the magnificent opportunities. Just be very honest with yourself.
Yeah.
No people or group that is powerless and is fighting for its rights can ever say the ruthless truth to the dominant group. Women cannot tell men what we really think because we have to continue in a relationship with the men in our families and the men in our communities. But if we really told you how we saw a lot of the behavior, the relationships would be over. Okay, so you can know the ruthless truth, but you communicate it in a way that knits you together. Yeah. And think about what King did. He didn't talk about the ruthless brutality and the lynching and the ongoing exclusion and redlining and every kind of lining they can excess out and to impoverish and exclude African Americans. If he had come at white America with that instead of his dream for everybody, you understand?
No, I
mean, the way you communicate it to the dominant force is very different. But don't delude yourself.
Nope. I write about this in my book, Death of a King. When we come forward with Connie speaking of MLK, we'll talk and close this conversation in dialogue about peace and radical love. But I write in my Death of a King book that had King lived, had he made it back to Atlanta, to Ebenezer from Memphis where they gunned him down, James Lawson, who we talked about earlier, made the phone call. Reverend Lawson invited King to come to Memphis to lead this sanitation workers' strike. That's how he got there. Lawson, his dear friend, invited him. But had King made it back to Atlanta that Sunday morning, the title of his sermon that Sunday morning he intended to preach was Why America May Go to Hell. This was the dreamer at the March on Washington in 63. But now we're in 68. It's 5 years later, and King is about to preach a sermon entitled Why America May Go to Hell. That's Connie's point. How they would have handled that sermon, I do not know. More when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like if you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Family Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data, and you get to choose who joins your family plan starting as low as $25 a line. Does it have to be family? It can be family or people you like.
Get more lines and more savings. Switch to Straight Talk for family plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. For network management practices, visit StraightTalk.com. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Who do you trust to get at the truth?
Tavis Smiley.
That's who. The conversation continues right now.
It does indeed for the last 4 minutes that I have in this hour with Connie Rice. And so in 4 minutes, Connie, I'll let you weave these things together. You mentioned Dr. King moments ago, but earlier you mentioned this notion of radical love and peace. And I don't know that in this war-torn, uber-violent world that King and Lawson's notion of radical love and peace has a place. You tell me.
Well, it has a place in the animating vision for the country. Can you remember when King wrote about, just with your last comment, Tavis, he wrote that essay, Chaos or Community. Would white America, when the time came to realize that it's not just enough to agree to end brutality, but that you had to move forward to realizing equality for everybody, not just yourself. When it came time to make that choice to move toward multiracial democracy and make the founding documents of this country a reality for everybody, would the white community, the dominant communities of this power structure, choose chaos or community? That's the moment we're in. He predicted it. He predicted it 60 years ago. And so to your point about his last sermon, is America going to go to hell? Mm-hmm. They're now choosing to hell or forward, regressive or progressive, forward or backward. And so when you talk about radical love, it takes radical love for African Americans after 400 years in this country to want to join this democracy and build it.
Oh yeah.
When we were rioting in the 60s, it was to join this system, not to destroy it. Mm-hmm. When the MAGA movement attacks the Capitol, it's to destroy this system. But so that's what I mean by animated by radical love. That's a radical love. If you still love this country after everything we've been through, that's radical love. When Reverend Lawson forgave Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassin and presided over his wedding and gave the eulogy at his funeral because he didn't believe that James Earl Ray acted on his own, but he was an instrument of a system that had to silence King, just as they had silenced Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King Jr., the Kennedys. That whole progressive leadership, when it got taken out, it ended the revolution, the civil rights, the beginning of the end of the civil rights revolution. Yeah. So we have to pick that baton up, Tavis. Yeah. I know the time is up, but that would be Reverend Lawson's last request of us.
I think you're right. We got to pick the baton up, and we have to run. Connie said it brilliantly, as she always does, earlier in this conversation, that too many of us have not and are not spending enough time in the trenches. Chasing success and chasing greatness, I ain't mad at you. Climbing the career ladder, I ain't mad at you. African American first, I ain't mad at you. I've been a few in my own career, but not enough of us are spending time in the trenches. And I agree with Connie that black people have learned to love this country in spite of and not because of. And on that note, we close this conversation. Thankfully, Connie is a regular contributor, so we will do it again. This has been more philosophical than it was, and I think more about our humanity than it was the typical stuff, the political stuff that Connie and I delve into, but it all goes together. And the timing of this conversation could not be more propitious. Connie, I thank you. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, Tavis.
All the best to you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A deadly and dangerous heat dome over the west is moving toward the eastern seaboard. Florida has tropical rainstorms with gusty winds, lightning, and flooding. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo testified on Capitol Hill Tuesday regarding how he handled the coronavirus pandemic. The Democrat released a written opening statement ahead of the closed-door interview with the GOP House Committee. Waffle House is increasing pay for its U.S. workers following complaints from labor advocates. Now management says the cost of those waffles, smothered and covered hash browns, are going up. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Need money for the holidays? Avoid the yikes before Christmas. Hurry into Jackson Hewitt for a holiday loan on your tax refund up to